Bangladesh.
Thank you, Tawhid.
So this is our pleasure to invite you here in Bangladesh, Mr. Green Man.
It's my pleasure to be here. It's a
So-
green and red, like my green color, right?
Okay, so here we find the flag of Bangladesh. Although you are at the center and black all around you, but it's pretty much presenting Bangladesh here.
Yes.
So I'll welcome you again. So tell me the mystery behind people call you Green Man.
I've always had a lot of love for Mother Nature. I grew up in a village in Germany, and in 2008 I won this Greenest Person on the Planet competition,
Okay.
and somehow, my nickname Green Man emerged. So that's where it comes from.
So how did you define or how did you classify a person as a green man? So if we put 10 people in front of you and ask you choose the greenest man, so what will be the criteria you say that he's the or she's the green man?
For me, the most objective measure is carbon footprint. We should evaluate the carbon footprint. How small is the carbon footprint, and what are you doing to actually make your life a carbon sink? Carbon sink means you plant trees, you do business that actually heals the planet by absorbing carbon dioxide. So if your life absorbs more carbon dioxide than it emits, then you're a green man or a green woman. You have to be carbon negative, that is my opinion. Or if you live in a village and you have a very small carbon footprint, that I would still classify as a green man or a green woman. But if you live in a big mansion, you have a high electricity bill, you eat red meat all the time, you drive big cars, and you don't do anything about reducing your carbon footprint, then you're definitely not a green man or a green woman.
So do you think that the tribal people all around the world, those who are living in the forest or those who are living in the hills, are the green people?
Yeah, for me they are the green people because they live with Mother Nature, they live from the natural output of Mother Nature, and they have a minimalistic carbon footprint. They don't interfere much with the natural balance. When we all lived tribal, the impact of humanity was insignificant on the planet.
Do you believe that it is possible that our urban people would at least try to follow a lifestyle of the tribal people? I mean, the urban areas are becoming more and more polluted by introducing technology and introducing live fasting, the culture and activities. But do you believe that in 2016 it is possible that urban people will somehow follow the lifestyle of the tribal people?
I think what we can do is we can try and attempt to get back some of the tribal lifestyle into the city. I don't think city lifestyle will shift to tribal lifestyle. But the idea of planting in the city, urban gardening, urban farming, going back to understanding what are the roots of life, even rejecting too much of the busy modern lifestyle, sitting in front of television and the phone all the time, and spending actually time sitting around the table and talking with people. I was in a tribal environment some months ago, a place where there was no internet, no proper phone connection, and people speak with one another, they connect with one another.
They are more social.
Yes, so I think we can bring some of that back into the modern lifestyle.
So you came here in Bangladesh for purposes, right? There are some definite purposes that you are promoting green banking, green industrial practices in Bangladesh. So what do you think, what are the scopes here in Bangladesh for practicing green more and more in the business sector?
I think the scope is good. There is a move towards green financing. There is even local money that's been made available for green technology financing. That is encouraging. It's not just donor money that's coming in. That's number one. Number two, I think some factory owners are realizing, especially in the area of the garment industry, that they actually need to focus on getting their factories, their manufacturing eco-friendly in such a way that they can actually supply to the European customers. So this is one of the aspects of making industry go more green. Then renewable energy is another theme that we are looking at today. I think Bangladesh is already the leader in home solar systems.
Right.
But on the macro scale, on the utility scale, I think that's where still a lot can be done. So there's scope for improvement, but there's scope for Bangladesh teaching other countries
Right.
how to do the solar home systems in a successful way. But to really make a sustainable society, we need a lot more green awareness education and practicing green lifestyles. We
Right.
need people to buy green and to live green, and we need voters to communicate that, you know, they care about green things. So politicians become increasingly green in the sense of that they enforce legislation, they shift industry towards green manufacturing. But if the green consumer emerges, then the manufacturing industry will automatically become more greener. So our demand that we create, we should demand less of the polluting stuff and more of the energy efficient and eco-friendly and healthy and toxic-free stuff.
So there comes the controversy between going green business and being as usual. You know, the industrialist says that if we go for cleaner production, green
Yes.
production, we need more money for the production, and the price will be ultimately higher.
Yeah.
So how can we change this this culture or this sort of thinking from the investor point of view? I mean, they say they need more money, but at the end of the day, if our goal is to become green, in that case, don't you think that the change will must come from the supply side, not from the demand side?
It must come from both sides. It must be supported by the government. When I was a youngster teenager in Germany, we had acid rain. Our forests were dying. We were campaigning for changing that. Industry was saying it's going to be too expensive. But Germany became the #1 country in the world for export of green technology. So the innovation that was coming from industry was actually helping them as well to develop additional technologies. So it is not that simple. It depends on what factories we are looking at, what processes we are looking at. But when you're polluting a lot, you're inefficient. And you're putting a big cost on society. Who is going to pay for the polluted rivers to be cleaned up? Who is going to pay for the health costs by people's health being damaged from the pollution? So we have in Germany the polluter pays principle. If you are emitting a lot, you have to pay for it. That is exactly what a sustainable society needs. And then you will suddenly see innovation.
Right.
And business can get the money. And if they reduce pollution, they reduce waste, they become more efficient at the same time. This is the broad statement. It depends on a case-by-case basis. But if you've been polluting the planet for the sake of your own personal profits, then it's time you change. You know, you should have a bad conscience that you've been making money on the back of people's health, on the back of Mother Nature. And if you are polluting and you're in an industry where consumers starting to shift and you don't change, then you got to face the realities of potentially going out of business. And deservedly so. If you don't heal the planet and consumers change their demand, then, you know, it's an evolution of the industry where, you know, that's what I've been saying. The people who produce plastic bags in Malaysia, they said, oh, what about all the jobs? New jobs will be created. And if your business is not healing the planet but destroying the planet and the market shift, then you better go out of business.
Right.
That's the evolution of the industry.
Okay, one last question. You know, Bangladesh is one of the victims of climate change.
Yes.
Although we have contributed 0.35% for the global warming and
Yes.
the global climate change. So, what can be the approach of Bangladesh people and Bangladesh government to the world, that how can we reduce the global warming, and how can we ask the loss and damage from the developed country? I mean, the developed countries, they're claiming that they are not doing this, and they are not solely responsible for the global warming and climate change. But how can we ask the compensation from them?
I mean, it's without a shadow of doubt, developed countries have historically a huge share of the pollution, and industrialization started a long, long time ago. So it's many hundreds of years where we've already polluted before even a place like Bangladesh and other developing countries started. So there's no question mark. Europe, North America have
China.
a much higher responsibility. China is now the #1 polluter. They started much later as well, but now, you know, this is a very complicated subject. the countries like Europe and even partially North America now are making money and resources available. But how do you deploy it? How do you avoid that the money ends up in the pockets of politicians who might use it for their own benefit rather than the benefit of the people or for climate change mitigation? So, and I think we need to find cost-effective and effective ways to deploy that money properly. Some of it needs to be about technology transfer, some of it needs to be about capacity building. I think Bangladesh is already the beneficiary of a significant donor support, including my country, Germany. I mean, I can't really speak for other countries, but I'm happy to see that Germany, GIZ, KfW is very active in Bangladesh to support climate mitigation, renewable energy, solar home cooking systems. So, you know, so there's a lot of good stuff going on. We need more of that stuff. And I think it's a two-way stream. The more the donors get the impression that the money is deployed in the right way to benefit the poor, to benefit climate change mitigation, then I think more money will flow. Sometimes the danger is that a lot of this money ends up in people's pockets who are just after the profit. So, you know, we need to work on both ends. Yes, there is a justified right to ask for more support, but the delivery mechanisms on the ground need to be effective.
Of course.
At the same time, Western countries need to provide more support. But as far as I can speak from a German perspective, I think the German government, GIZ, KfW are always interested in effective mechanisms to support them, as long as they deliver the desired results.
So this is the third time you came here in Bangladesh,
yes.
right? So do you think that you still wish or you have a hope coming back again and again in Bangladesh for bringing more changes in the youth people?
Oh yes, I would love to come back. I would love to do a massive awareness raising campaign with the young people that is linked to taking action. Awareness alone is not enough, but we need to take action. We need to take the next steps. And I have that impression with the young people. When I was at the Notre Dame Nature Summit, I was so inspired by the positive response of the young people. I had a lot of messages where the young people told me, we remember all of your speech. We are practicing already. We have implemented this, we have implemented that. I gave a talk Saturday at Eastern University. Same evening I got a message, you know, hey, we have started implementing light bulbs, you know, eco-friendly light bulbs. So it's happening. I want to come back.
Welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for giving us time.
My pleasure. Bangladesh, Shonadesh. I'll be back soon.